Oh, God. Light the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. The Critic's Choice. With me, as always, the People's Champ, Tim Keck.
If you feel it, chase it, baby.
If you feel it, chase it. And today, we are continuing a 4-year-long series comparing Lethal Weapon movies and Ryan Gosling movies in an effort to, one, convince Tim that The Nice Guys is a Lethal Weapon installment, and two, convince Tim that Ryan Gosling is a likable person. Joining us for this.
3, expose you guys to quality filmmaking.
I mean, I'll take that in this regard. I don't know that we've done a great job of doing the opposite for you. Joining us for the 4th year running, great friend of ours, friend of the pod, enemy of the people, it's Michael Breen.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Breen. Yes, the people go crazy.
Has that been your new kind of sign on, Tim?
Oh, if you feel it, chase it. Yeah, it's from Glenn Powell says it in Twisters. And as my favorite character of all time, saying my favorite words of all time. I threw baby on the end, and I feel like we kind of complete each other, you know?
Yeah.
Like that baby was the 9 to his 6. And we're just kind of, a full circle right now.
Yeah, I kind of always assumed before I met you that you were living a kind of Glenn Powell life.
I was.
In Twisters.
Those were the days. Had my truck, was, in shape. Things were okay. The sun touched my skin in the winter. It was great. Now I'm here in New York.
Episodes usually start. You just
chasing my dreams. What does your hat say? The Los Angeles...
Langers. It's a deli out here. It's not my hat. It's Haley's. But I've been wearing it lately.
Yeah, it's good. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's everything going with you?
Jesus Christ.
What you been up to, man?
Tough edit.
How's it hanging, dude? Anything fun going on?
The people need to know.
Yes.
No, nothing really crazy going on. I just realized my AC is on and it's really loud.
Turn it off.
Turn it off, or is it too late?
Off. I mean, you can turn it off now if you want.
I'm going to wait for Kevin to say, because he seems like he's got a better hold on this whole situation. So you're kind of acting crazy.
Hear it, but you know what? There's always a chance. No, can't hear it. So you know what? I say let it ride. It's going to make it easier to edit later.
Kevin said let it ride. Awesome. As the wild card of this group, I have to, support Kevin in this. The response.
A very wild card move to do. Support the person who has an idea. You're out of control, dude.
Hey, if I always rebelled, I wouldn't be the wild card. Every once in a while, you got to play it straight. Keep them guessing. The wild card can't always be wild. Then he's just a lunatic.
Actually, the most wild thing you could do is kind of not be wild. That's the twist.
It's the real rebellion.
I think that might be a decent segue too. What do you think, wild card? What's your take on La La Land?
Speaking of insanity, you'd have to be insane to like this
segue
movie.
On top of my segue,
I'm the wild card, baby. That's what I do. A segue into a segue. Hell yeah, dude! It's like a collision in L.A. 2 segways colliding. People are on the ground. Loafers are askew. It's time for Nerdy for 30. Today we're talking about La La Land. My take on La La Land is you should not be allowed to make a musical movie if it's not based on an actual musical. This should not have left the planning stages. This should have never gotten off the ground. Why are they singing their songs I don't know and I don't remember? Why is there music? I've never heard this before. I don't want to hear it again. I don't know any of the words. I've never heard of this. What are they doing? They're dancing slowly. Cool. Why do they look so uncomfortable? It must be awkward choreography that they're bringing from the stage to the silver screen. No, they intended it to look like shit. They wanted it to look like it was a shitty musical that they were forced to make. No one forced them to make this movie. They should have punted on the whole thing and given up. This movie sucks. And actually, I mean, there are parts I enjoyed. It was okay. But, the spirit of this movie sucks. And I disagree with it strongly. It's all about worshiping Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't give a fuck about you. Why are these people told to persevere? It's like Hollywood refuses to give you anything that you can't handle. They are worshiping the wrong God. They're worshiping a God that does not love them back. And yet at the end of the movie, somehow all of their dreams come true. It's the messaging in this movie's bullshit. The idea of this movie's bullshit. But there are some nice moments.
It's kind of brilliant to have like 20 bad takes because my head is spinning right now. Like, I don't know where to start, what to address. My blood is at different temperatures because it doesn't know where to put its energy right now. That was an insane rant. The one point, it's not a musical that already exists. No musical is a musical that already existed. They're all made up at some point.
If we can sidebar for a minute, I forgot to tell Tim that movies existed before 1950, so this was on me.
But they didn't sing in them. They did not sing in the 1950s. It did not happen. You should only be able to make a movie with singing if it was on Broadway. Wicked. They're tricking everyone into going to see this movie and pretending it's not a musical. It is. And you know what? It's on Broadway already. You know? Legally Blonde. They didn't sing in that one, but then they wanted to sing, so they made it a musical. And now if they make a musical legal, I mean, it's the Mean Girls paradox, right? You create a movie without singing, then you add singing, it's a musical on stage, then you make the movie, and it's allowed to be a musical because the musical theater already exists for it. The fact that these guys, out of nothing, out of thin air, unprovoked, unasked, created a chunky, blunt instrument that is La La Land and treated it with the same care that they treated Les Miserables with what's his face, Crow, just sing talking to himself as Jean Valjean. That's the level of care they put into this. It's bullshit. It looks bad. It looks like they're struggling to replicate a musical theater that does not exist. That's my argument for La La Land.
This movie looks bad.
I think the blocking is weird. Why are they just out on a street by themselves? Why are they on a bench doing tippy top toes? It's weird. I don't know. Why are they singing it? Why is Ryan Reynolds just on a boardwalk singing about stars? Who gives a fuck? Like, all of this is it's dumb. It's fucking dumb. The movie opened with them with the scene of them all in the cars singing, and immediately I was like, this is gonna fucking suck. Nothing about this is good. They're like passing over all the cars. Each one's got a different song playing. Behind each window is a different story. Fuck off and go to hell with that. I don't need it. And then they got out of their cars and they danced. And then they got in a circle and a guy came in and pretended to break dance and they lost their minds. This older woman came in with a fan and they were like, whoa. And then they stood on their cars and and it was like, this is trash. This is a trash product. I was like, they must have been forced. Maybe these directors have a creative vision. They saw a musical on Broadway and they're like, somewhere in here is a compelling story we can tell. We just need to get over the hurdle of this music. We need to, get past this, do the best we can with what we've been given. But no, they created this. This is what they wanted to make. They could do whatever they wanted to. And they did this. And I can't wrap my head around it. I can't believe that given the choice of creating anything on God's green earth, they chose to do this. Why would they do this to us?
Just so many words to say you don't like original musicals, I think. Is that the thing?
Pretty much, yeah.
You're aware of Singing in the Rain, right? You're aware of like White Christmas. I feel like White Christmas might be one that you actually liked. These movies, these classic Hollywood musicals, those were not based on stage plays, Tim. Those were original
you watch Singing
Hollywood
in the Rain
musicals.
every weekend, Kevin. Give me a break. You watch White Christmas every year.
But they exist and they're classics.
Yeah. I knew La La Land existed, but I've been putting that shit off forever. Like, these are good.
These are references to that. La La Land is intended to be a love letter to old Hollywood. And it's a continuation. It's a modern Hollywood musical that pays tribute to those.
It's a modern movie referencing movies that we all know about but don't want to watch.
It's not really referencing them. It's just trying to exist in the same canon. It's examining homage. What would happen if you took the same formatting tropes and you put them in the modern day. It's interesting.
It's interesting the way like watching the Academy Awards is interesting. You know, it's like, sure, I get that some old white people in a room think this is groundbreaking. But
this isn't really about Hollywood. This movie is about like following your dreams, and like the woman wants to be an actress, but he wants to be a jazz musician, which isn't really like Hollywood. It just happens in LA. It's about following your dreams, not like Hollywood.
So it's not about the old shitty movies that you like?
Well, I mean, I think that's still the medium, or like the general idea behind how it's being put up. You know, obviously it's supposed to throw back to like Gene Kelly stuff, but.
So what do you think about this, Kevin? And then Breen, what is your take on La La Land? Do you think this is an accurate, again, our thesis is that Ryan Gosling is a good actor. Mm-hmm. You know, I haven't even mentioned Ryan Gosling yet, but this movie is an L for me. What do you guys think about this movie? Do you think it's a good movie? And do you think it's an accurate portrayal of who Ryan Gosling is as an actor?
I mean, I think it's a good movie. I think it's incredibly well shot. I think it's visually beautiful. I think it's staged incredibly well. I think the performances are great. I think the music slaps. I love the music in this. I've had it stuck in my head ever since I watched it.
You have it stuck in your head.
I think it's a massive success in what it was trying to do.
One line
City
from
of
a
Stars?
song.
City of Stars?
City of Stars. Thank you, Breen.
Yeah, the one they say 35 times. Yeah, okay. You got me there. Good point.
Yeah, you know, I think some of the actual, the relationship itself, I don't think is necessarily something to seek out, but, you know, it's realistic. I think it's like realistically toxic, their relationship, and it falls apart, and it's sad to see, but also, you know, again, realistic and probably good for these two. They didn't work out. Breen, your turn.
I've seen this movie 3 times. All 3 times I've seen it by myself. All 3 times I've cried at the end.
My man. Can I ask you when? Because for myself, I started tearing up. I tear up when they tell her, yeah, you're a storyteller. Tell a story.
Oh, that's your spot?
Yeah.
Mine is in the montage. I totally respect that as a crying point. That's a great crying point. But my crying point is in the montage when she goes into the club and they go off and have their little fantasy thing. Kills me every time.
Ooh. Oh, that one
brutal.
Hurts.
And every time I say, "Not, you already did this. It's not going to happen again." And it happens again every time. The passing of time in movies does something to me. Too much. Yeah, I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it.
This can't be real. This can't be real, what you're saying right now. I
love this movie. I think it's so good.
The part where they're just like
borderline perfect.
No, you don't. Not genuinely.
This is a great movie.
I really do think this is a great movie.
Okay, the moment where they say you're a storyteller, tell a story. She got this role because someone saw her one-woman show that there were 3 people at, and then he like whatever, just that, and then they're like, come in. By the way, we're looking for just a random female actress, and we're going to build a whole thing around her. I mean, this is just like an abstract. Does this happen a lot where they're just like, hey, we don't have an idea. We don't have a story. We want to grab some girl, go to Paris and shoot something. We've got a budget. It's going to be great. So random lady that I saw a one-woman show of, tell us a story. Has that ever happened before?
I mean, Tim, you got a couple lines in Breen's movie and you weren't in the script.
Well, that's charisma. Sorry, I don't have time to teach Emma Stone everything I know in 2017.
Now, wait, is that a dig at Emma Stone?
No, Emma Stone's perfect. She's incredible in this. I love her so much. And her character's so dumb. She's like clapping and dancing weird at this party. And I'm like, you know what? If this wasn't Emma Stone, maybe not, but Emma Stone's incredible. She's so talented. She's just magical. And she is so strong of will and physical character to throw Ryan Gosling on her back for this entire movie. Your other crying point where they rewind at the end and it's like her seeing him and having a dream about the life they could have had together, right? Earlier, what my favorite scene is actually the two of them having dinner together and they're arguing about his career. And she's saying, you're giving up on your dream. You're like doing, and it seems like this guy is like, oh, actually wants a stable job and is making money because he wants to build a life with this person. And she's upset he's giving up on his dream because she somehow was able to quit her job and just survive for 6 months just working on her solo project. Yeah. Why do you have to quit your job at the coffee shop? You can't keep a couple shifts open. Really? That's taking all of your time. You need 0 hours at work in a week to work on this one woman show. I don't know.
You do.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do.
You need it all the time. She's a morning person. She likes to write in the morning. That's when coffee happens. It's a problem.
Could do afternoon coffee. No, you're right. You're right. The entire industry runs on morning energy. So her dream, or she is upset that his dream in that moment is to have a career that makes money, that is successful. And she goes along with him on that. And he's like, can't you practice your one woman show anywhere? And she says, what? What do you mean? You just want me to follow wherever you are is what you mean? And then we go to her dream. And her dream at the end is that she goes to Paris, is successful. And what does he do? He is now in Paris at a jazz club, following her around, living his dream wherever she is. And it's just, I guess it's an example of why neither of those ideas are going to work but at the end, I'm not as bought into this. Oh, this is the beautiful life they had together, because it's also incredibly selfish on her part.
I think they're both incredibly selfish, but I don't think that's like, it's not a movie about that. This was about like, they help each other accomplish their dreams, which is what this is about. It's not about them taking care of each other. It's sad that they couldn't, and that's what that moment's about at the end, because they needed different things. But in that moment, they needed each other to push through.
I guess so. She did come up with the name for his club. And he did drive, 8 hours to go pick her up and then just get a hotel for the night and be there in the morning and drive her. He is the only reason anything happens for her. And the idea that they don't talk anymore, or that they couldn't exchange a pleasantry at his club, seems weird to me. Maybe it's not. Maybe you just like have these big relationships and they end and it's like over. I get that. But he is the only reason she has a career at all.
But they did through the music. They had their conversation. It was through the song. It's not so literal that they have to, but they have their moment when he plays that song.
Mm-hmm. I guess
that
so,
is them
but it's
catching up. That is them talking about things.
But is it him talking about things because it's a dream sequence where she gets what she wants?
Well,
so
it's
is he
a dream
participating
sequence
in this?
where he goes. Yeah, I mean, because she didn't get what she wanted. It's the only other side of the coin for there to be. And he starts the song. He's the one who kind of brings it up.
So do you think in hindsight, he would have done that? Or he wishes he would have done that instead of the club? Do you think there's a part of him that wishes he'd gone with her and just played in Paris and done all that stuff?
Maybe, but I think they're both kind of at peace with where they're at, and that's kind of the point of it. I don't think he longs for her. I didn't get that feeling at the end. I don't think it was regret. It was just kind of an acknowledgement of that moment.
Okay. I'll be honest, that's the part that really hooked me in. By the time they get to that scene, I felt I was so invested. By the end of the movie, I'm in. I'm in on this relationship. I really tuned out for her sing-songy monologue. But after that, I was like, what's going to happen to them? What happens? Time skip, like any good anime, there's a time skip and then we come back and they've evolved.
It really hooks you by the 150th minute.
Yeah, I was in that. Yeah. Before that, it was touch and go, but
I just told this. This is exactly like when we went to the Major League Soccer match and Tim was so out the entire time. And then in the extra time in the end, he was on his feet cheering.
Was it the time that I went with you guys?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that the game didn't even matter because they were like totaling up points over a series of games. So it was like a complete waste of time. So like, I don't know.
So upsetting that goals compound over games. Absolutely absurd.
Well,
what a
just
pathetic
in that case,
sport. What a pathetic sport that you have to smush games together to get a real score. They're like, we can't do it in 2 hours. We gotta compile these things together. Like they insist on a TV series. They can't land a movie. Yeah. Wow. What do you guys?
I gotta be honest, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised this one was such a miss for you because I know you like rom-coms and there is a strong rom-com energy in this, even though it is a musical instead of a rom-com. And I mean, like, as much as you hate Gosling, I do think you have to admit to a certain extent that Gosling and Emma Stone together really work.
Yes, I think two things. I think maybe I'm just bitter or jaded or something.
It took 4 years. It took 4 years of this shit for the final come out. God damn it.
Not about Gosling, but all of the romanticizing of the film industry and Hollywood and music. I guess I'm at a point where I'm just like, none of this stuff loves you back. We're all just like passing through. It's all like, it's all about money and cash. And I don't know. It just seems like it's not this beautiful piece of art that I can observe from a distance. It's like a real thing that is treated like every other real thing. And for whatever reason, I was just not in the mood to listen to a movie that worshiped that stuff.
I can understand the problem with like romanticizing Hollywood in that way and how bullshit it can feel. But sometimes it's just fun. Sometimes it's just fun to ignore all the pedophilia and whatever and hell that's going on here and just pretend it doesn't exist and people are just singing and having a good time.
Yeah, I guess so.
So what's up? We're gonna edit out that I said pedophilia, or are we gonna keep it in every single time?
We're gonna leave it in. I was gonna say, we're just gonna enjoy the scene at a rich person's house and cut around the scene where police pull 1,000 bottles of lube out of there. You think that was Diddy's place? They were having one of the big parties at?
Yeah, it actually was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy they had that whole party at Diddy's place.
The extended scene, which you can watch if you buy the Blu-ray, is upsetting. And it was a good cut, if you ask me. It's a good cut.
It was a good cut. We're probably gonna have to cut your detailed description of that scene, but maybe we can leave in the reference to it. Mm-hmm. But you really went off. So I mean, maybe we can just like get that time back from you and just continue the pod.
We'll pick it up from like a second or two ago.
Yeah,
so we'll just cut back to that.
Yeah, if you could edit out what I just said, that'd be huge.
The Ryan Gosling of it.
What part?
I just cannot get on board with him being a good actor. I think I just don't believe it. Him and Emma Stone together is great. I think that's a lot from her, but I think it works. And this is the only Ryan Gosling movie I've seen where I wasn't distracted by how bad he is. I was kind of like okay with it, right away. He's a little stiff, and then it just kind of worked. He's just a stiff weirdo. He's like a weird person who's into jazz and he wants to play the piano, and his delivery on these lines is so stilted and weird, but it was kind of working for me. When he like turns to her and he takes her to the jazz club and he's like, this is jazz, it's live, and it's dying. It's dying. I laughed so hard. He has some great jokes in this. When him and a criminally underused J.K. Simmons are talking about him, going off book. It's so funny where he's like, you're fired. And he's like, what you mean is, that's what you're saying, but what you mean is great. It's great stuff. This is the most I've enjoyed Ryan Gosling in a movie, I think. Aside from the stint in Barbie, on the whole in this, I liked him a lot more than I ever have.
We got him. Tim's obsessed with Ryan Gosling. He fucking loves him. That's his language. I know when Tim loves somebody, and it's what he said right there.
I didn't hate it. I was disappointed by the singing, though, because he looked so happy and comfortable in Barbie singing that I thought for sure him singing in this would be like
he got better.
Fun.
He got better.
I think he did
he
get
learned.
better.
He's a guy working on his craft. You know, he actually plays piano in that movie. He's actually that
Does he
good at
really?
piano, and he never played before. He learned how to
real?
play for that movie. Yes, and he's
Really?
like all of those shots of him actually playing.
Wow.
Never played before that movie.
Yeah, he's a weird dude. He's a weird guy who lacks social skills, and we're just all kind of
You
giving it a
love him.
pass.
You hear that,
Yeah.
Ryan? Tim loves you.
Don't call me. You guys. We should do some beefs and thieves. What do you guys think is like your biggest thief in this? Like, what's the thing that like really blows you away in this movie? Yeah, I know you got to think. This is a surprising question to ask on a podcast where our only categories are beefs and thieves. The only consistent bit we've done the whole time is biggest beef and biggest thief. And time for a long, thoughtful pause. Let's go. We're leaving it in. We cut out the Diddy story from Mike, and we're leaving in the long pause.
I really like the way Damien Chazelle shoots a band playing music. I think it's really interesting and really fun with the jazz stuff. And it's a lot of the stuff we saw in Whiplash, but like that swinging camera back and forth, the kind of highlight who's playing at which moment. It's really fun to watch. I think gives it gets that music a lot of energy. Big fan of that. Beef, I would say, and I get why they do it, but Emma Stone's Bad Life is pretty good.
It's great.
She got cool friends, goes to parties I've still never even gotten close to going to. Her life is awesome. She works at a coffee shop and she's bad at it, but gets to keep her job. I mean, I think she's got a pretty nice life.
And it's on a lot, and she can just leave whenever she wants for auditions. It seems like she's doing really well. And
she's doing well enough to take 6 months off, which is better than I've ever done.
It's the most glamorous portrayal of a struggling actress I've ever seen. It seems incredible to be a struggling actress in LA. She doesn't accidentally go to a Scientology building because she saw an audition there and then got confused and then ended up signing up for Scientology, which happens here all the time. That's the scene I'm missing from the movie.
They should have added that in.
Years of her being a Scientologist. Just a good 3 years of it in the movie. And then we jump and she's like eventually out. And then her and Ryan have to have a really serious conversation. And then she's in a movie with Tom Cruise. Like, just do the whole thing.
Yeah, she was forced to date Tom Cruise for 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I really was into the idea that she had failed. And I really liked it, that she did a one-woman show. Nobody came and she moves back home. For whatever reason, I was like, this is good enough. I like this ending. and then it's, oh, actually, there was a big major producer there. Actually, here's this once in a lifetime opportunity. Actually, your face is on billboards now and you're essentially famous and everything worked out for you and you're living a magical life. That felt a little undercutting for me, to be honest. It seems strange. Ryan Gosling getting his dream to come true kind of makes sense because he was making money. He could have saved up. He could have bought a club and he could have gotten people in the door because he's touring with this group that's really popular. So
actually, I'll give you that. That is a good point. Like, he was making money, which is the thing that he needed. He didn't have to his dream was owning a club. That was going to take time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a crazy conversation with her parents where she's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming he's saving up for it. And it's like, I think you would, the discussion would have happened where he's like, yeah, I'm working incredibly hard. I'm picking up extra shifts because I have to pay for everything, lights, like the fucking water bill. I got to get a liquor license. The upfront overhead has to be unbelievable.
Yeah, you keep just talking about what color the stage curtains should be. And I'm like, that's the least important thing. You're not working at all right now. And you bought every color of curtains and they're not fucking cheap. This is
gotta
crazy.
return the ones that aren't right.
We can't even sleep in our room right now. This is fucking ridiculous. You have to get a job. You can write and do this. This is This is ridiculous.
It would be amazing if, we saw glimpses of their apartment together and he was just making all the wrong choices like that. Like, it just looks like the opening of the Muppet Show. You know, I think it's the Muppet movie, it opens up and there's like 20 sets of curtains that open one right after another. The bit's just, there's too many curtains. That's just their bedroom.
Yeah.
As my jaded self now, it's like success in entertainment is first who you know, and two, whether or not you have to have a day job. It seems like those are the most crucial parts of success, is whether or not you actually have to work 40 hours a week or not.
That was the biggest thing holding me back in my life. Is working 40 hours a week. It absolutely, I can draw a line in time of like, this is when nothing was happening, and this is when things started to happen for you. It was just very cleanly having a job.
Dang, I should quit my job.
Time in my life.
Okay, Val, Kevin, we're both quitting our jobs after this podcast goes up. It's
not
over
agree
for
to
us.
that.
You guys are ending the pod?
Did not agree to that.
You're quitting your jobs?
Yeah, this is our job. We put 40 hours a week into this.
Dude, if this was the result of 40 hours a week, can you imagine?
Yeah, it'd be better.
It was groundbreaking for us when we started using our iPhones instead of the webcams on our MacBooks.
Buying microphones was a big purchase.
That was a big step. You can say a lot of things about us, but you can't say this. Tim and I did not take the pick the color of the curtains first track. I made a logo for this show 3 years after we started doing it.
And then you sat on it for 2 more.
That's right. Because I wanted to make sure it was right.
Like 6 months ago, Kevin's like, oh yeah, I was going through my folders of old stuff and I found this logo I made like 6 months into doing the podcast. And he's like, I don't know, what do you think of? I'm like, it's so good. It's so much better than what we have. You tell me we could have had years of this. Yeah, the logo is good. Shout out to Kevin, our in-house designer. He kills it on the reg. Kevin, speaking of killing it, Beef Thief, you ready? Right. But time to think it over.
All right. Thief, I was going to say that I really enjoyed all the old Hollywood references, but I know that you would immediately call me on the fact that I haven't seen any of those movies. I've listed the one that I've seen, White Christmas. That's it. I've also seen the Coen brothers movie about the communists, which references them a lot too, but I don't think that counts. So instead for my Thief, I'm going to say I like that the John Legend character fully cops to the fact that what he's doing is not jazz, because jazz already died, but you got to do this now. It's an interesting thing to see Ryan Gosling's character, who is so hardline, have to sacrifice his pride in order to like suck it up, take a paycheck and make some money. And John Legend's character is like, look, I know what this is. Like, what you want, people don't want anymore. So you got to move on and make money or not, which I guess they do kind of undercut because the club is pretty much sold out, but it's still nice to see somebody push back on him being such a hardliner.
When Emma Stone's character goes to his show and is so overwhelmed that she has to run out because he's not living his dream, do you think Ryan's happy there? Or Ryan's character is happy there, Sebastian? Because I initially thought this is the exact opposite of what he wants to do. It's over, but he seems content doing this, and he is riffing and improvising. It looks like he's just doing it on this weird keyboard that's making all kinds of weird sounds. So it seems like he's kind of met a great compromise, the kind of compromise we'd all be lucky in life to get, where art meets what we can actually get paid for. And it's kind of intersecting in a nice way. And I thought, I'm like, this is okay. I think he's okay right now and things are good for him.
It is crazy that she didn't know what jazz was like 2 weeks ago, and now she's gatekeeping what jazz is. That's bizarre behavior. I don't think he's happy. I think he's content, and I think it's her job to kind of get him out of being content with what he's doing, and she does that by having a tantrum.
Yeah,
that's right, a tantrum.
Mia sucks. I'll say it. Mia sucks in this. She's not fun. The only reason she's likable is because it's Emma Stone, but Mia is just not fun. She's not fun to be around.
I think both of them are flawed.
I don't think that's a terrible take.
my beef is related to this, which is when the curtains open and she sees what that band really plays, what that music is really like. You're going to tell me she hasn't heard a single one of their songs before going to that?
She has no idea what this is. Zero idea. Ryan sat in her bedroom and watched her perform her one-woman show directly to him. And she has no idea what their concerts are like. Unbelievable.
Watched her play an old German sailor that she met in middle school on a field trip for 2 hours. He let her riff that out in front of him. It was embarrassing. And then she's going to have the nerve. She's going to have the nerve to judge what he's doing.
You know what? We should put up a new monthly where it's just every month we perform one fictional piece of theater from a different piece of media. So like the first one up, we get somebody to play Mia and do Mia's one-woman show from La La Land.
That exists.
Does it
This
really?
is a thing, right?
That went off Broadway. It was Jimmy Fowley did, what is it called? Something Boulder. I love you, Boulder. Or what's it
Escaping
called?
from Boulder or something like that.
Something like
Leaving Boulder. I don't know.
Yeah. But
Missed
the comedian Jimmy Fowler did a whole show that was that show.
damn. Shout out.
Yeah.
Bet that person didn't have
And
a
they
day
went
job.
to it, right?
Yeah. She went to it.
That's awesome. That's
Damn.
what real art is.
Yeah, that is real art. God damn. Look, we're getting to the end of this one. We got to wrap this one up. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to Lethal Weapon 4?
Yes.
I-
My biggest
you know-
thief in this. I'm sorry, Breen. I know you're a guest here, but like watch your tone. Doesn't mean you can interrupt.
It is so wild for me to start talking. You jump in a full 3 seconds later and say that doesn't mean I can interrupt. With in a segment we've moved on from. This segment has been over for 5 minutes. Kevin was just trying to end the episode, and you took us back into the last segment and then blamed it on me.
Breen, earlier in this episode, I called him out for segueing over top of one of my segues, and Tim reintroduced the podcast. He said the title again.
You know what? It is wild card. It is wild card behavior.
If you guys are done, my favorite thief in this is it's got to be the audition scenes. They're so brutal. They're so awful. I love them. And maybe my biggest thief in the whole thing is when she's at that party and that guy who's a writer keeps trying to talk to her and he keeps talking about how hot he is and how he's got a lot of irons in the fire. And that was all he talked about and just clearly had nothing going on, but was BSing it. I was like, damn, this is some of the realest shit I've ever seen in a movie. And it's just, I feel like the whole thing is like such flowery BS, but then just these moments of like clarity on like a peek behind the curtain at what life's actually like out there. And those were incredible. And everyone driving a Prius. That's a great bit too. Okay. Now we should probably wrap up the pod. Final thoughts from anybody? Got anything to say at the end?
I can't believe it took only 4 years for you to do a complete 180 on Gosling. I'm so proud of where you've come. It's amazing. You know what? And this is the ending that I might cry over.
Oh, I
The
like
passing
that.
of time, and he changed. It's beautiful.
I didn't hate Gosling in this is as close as we're coming to a happy ending for this.
Oh, 180. You love him.
Incredible. Listener, what did you think of La La Land? Let us know. Send us an email, nerdyfor30@gmail.com. We'll read it on the show. And please, while you're at it, please wish Tim well for this reversal of fortune and this reversal of opinion. We are going to be back here again. The second half of this, it's Lethal Weapon 4. We're ending the franchise. We will see you then. And until then, stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.
Stay nerdy. Bye. Thanks, Breen.
Stay nerdy. Bye.
Oh,
Thanks,
that
everybody.
sucked. I hate that you did that.
Why?
Just
I'm about
so
to do that.
belittling your. You've been on. You better get your shit together for the next pod.